Minutes after
Oh.
segment. Lots of minutes after.
It's June 15, and we finished working at 1:42 p.m., and it is right now 10:47, so that's 9 hours and 5 minutes later. Let's do some fun math.
Okay, so that's 3 hours is 180. That could do that times 3, 300. And
Well, actually, no, I was saying, no, an easy way to do this, Garrett, is 300 minutes is 5 hours, right? You double that, that's 600 minutes, that's 10 hours. Chop off 60 minutes, what you're going to call it, that'd be
540.
That'd be 540, and instead tack on another 5 minutes, so there.
545. Yeah, Brandon's right. That's better.
545 minutes after segments.
He did the better math.
All right, I'll just start this one.
Go ahead.
Okay, hold on a second. Now we had a lot of fun stuff today. Maybe we'll talk about a bit in this one. I'm trying to remember what we went through today. Hold on a second. Give me a sec.
It's kind of tiresome, but in the beginning, it was. There were two.
No, we did two. Oh yeah, yes. We thought actually the thing is funny enough. I can only speak for myself. I thought today was going to be harder than it was. Actually,
I agree.
Yeah, I thought because we knew what we were in for when yesterday. What we were going to write the segments. We knew what we were in for. So, Garrett and I thought it was going to be kind of a really rough day. Turns out it was rough, but not as rough as we thought. So,
actually quite productive.
Yeah, very productive.
I mean, they all have been.
No, but
I can elaborate on that if Brandon doesn't. So.
Well, one of the productive things is I think Garrett was about to bring it up, but I'll just bring it up. At least it was that well, we did these two segments. We detailed them to the extent we liked it. Till we feel comfortable for them in the script, and they went really quickly.
They did.
Like we finished it like in under 2 hours.
I think like the fastest we've actually completed segments in like a few weeks now. I think actually this one our fastest.
Yes, no, Garrett's absolutely right, Garrett.
And they weren't any less complicated either. They were just as complicated as the others,
especially on the second one.
Yeah, but go on.
So we finished in like in under 2 hours. Amazing. Wait, hold on. I had the burp. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. But also a surprising thing, we actually deleted a segment.
That's what I was gonna get to.
Yes, I'm gonna say it. It's rare, and I mean rare. I do mean rare, because whenever Garrett and I come up with all of our segments in their bullet pointed form, Garrett and I have this energy about ourselves where we're like, this is it. Mm-hmm. We don't need any more segments. We don't need any more less segments. We're good. We're set. So it's always very interesting and kind of fun, and also always kind of tough. Deciding should we really cut the scene. At least that is for me. I don't know how you feel, Garrett. For me personally, it's always kind of hard for me to cut a segment. Primarily because it's my method of writing. Particularly me, whether it's rigid or not, my method of writing is that it's like an example of I wrote solo. Let's say for the argument's sake, I wrote a story solo. Okay. When I would think of, if I did the same system, segments, if I did alone, I would actually keep everything, because that's just me. I like to keep everything I think of and never alter it. That's just how I like to do it personally.
Yeah, it's like when Brandon crosses a certain threshold, it stays that way for the rest of the process.
And it's not even a matter for me of stubbornness. It's more like, I thought the scene worked better when I thought about it. If solo writing, Brandon. But I'm like this. But you know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't want to alter it. I don't want to take it out. I'm just going to make this work, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's me if I wrote solo. So that's why I said for me, because Garrett can elaborate on that. For me, it's always a little hard for me to cut a segment.
Yeah, for me, it's not difficult to cut it if it just doesn't feel right. If it feels right, I get rid of it. If it feels right, I'll add something. Again, and I say again, not that we brought it up in this one, but in previous videos for sure, that it is a double-edged sword for both our methods.
How's it for yours?
Because I either add too much or take away too much
in
the name of changing things, just for the sake of, I found something that works better now.
Or the whole like flair of the moment kind of deal.
Definitely.
Oh.
See, the great part about Brandon's consistency is that something gets done, and
it gets done well.
And even if cutting the content works better for the overall craft of the script, and Brandon doesn't cut it, it's not like keeping it is a sin, because what Brandon is keeping still works. It just would have worked better without it, but who needs better if you're on the opposite end and you're cutting your entire screenplay, including the things that don't need to be cut, but you're doing it, or maybe they do need to be cut. And that's because you are constant re-editing your script and nothing gets done because you keep thinking of something new every time you write and you re-overlook your shit. With Brandon's system, you'll still get something amazing with some things that could have been changed, but because they're in the script, you still think it works well, and no one will be the wiser.
Except for me. I'd be the
Brandon would be the only one who knows that I could have cut that, but it's too irritating to shift that up. Brandon has it set where it's annoying to shift and change things up. I'm of the mindset where I can just rearrange all the pieces nonstop, take some out, throw some in, and constantly mix and turn all of it endlessly. But that's the problem, and I can do it too much. That's where I'm the more flexible.
Yes.
Where when I come up with what I like, my mindset is always, I definitely love this. But if I sense something that elevates it, I'm going to put it in there. But not at the effort of altering it to an insane degree. Yes.
That's pretty much it.
Yes. Or throwing it out completely. What I will add or enhance or delete, it has to be an easy delete. In other words, what I remove shall not affect the rest of it as a whole in a terrible way.
Yes.
Because then that's just irresponsible. And then what I add in the essence will affect it all, but seamlessly and done well. Mm-hmm. If I was writing alone, which I have written some things by myself, I honestly just run with whatever I have, but I don't plan it, and I think it out of my head, a brief outline, and I just constantly fill in the blanks. Yeah. And I would say, while that gets stuff done as well, I would say a drawback to it is it takes longer. It still takes longer. Brandon still writes faster. And my method still takes more time. So Brandon's is faster with not as much wiggle room in terms of improving what is there.
Yeah.
But what Brandon sticks with is amazing. And mine is the state of it's good, and I make it and I improve it to the level of amazing, and maybe even a little farther because of the change. But that takes longer. So yeah. Really, it is about getting things done. Getting things done well, I'd say honestly, more than trying to elevate to such a high level of creation. I think elevating things is wonderful, but I've come to realize as long as you love it, you can stop the elevation at some point and just make something really incredible and get it done. Brandon taught me how to get it done. I taught Brandon how to be flexible, because there are times when Brandon wants to change something. But without me, he wouldn't have the impetus to do it or necessarily the experience to do it. And Brandon would just pass on it, even though he would have preferred to have changed it.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Garrett's absolutely speaking the truth right there. Absolutely. That's why I learned a lot from Garrett. Flexibility in the good sense, really good sense, where you just know that's like, you're looking at a second. You're looking at a scene, and you're just like, I got like 50% of this thing, but it's like on the tip of my tongue. It's on the cusp. I can see it. That it can really be something I would deeply love and always look back on and deeply love it. But before with me, no, I was just like, fuck that. Before I was like, fuck that shit.
Yeah, I'll fuck that missing 50%. I'm not going to put in the effort to do that because it's just not something I'm very fond of, nor is it a skill I've really developed.
Yes.
So we've both developed the skills the opposite didn't have by just working with each other.
Yes, because we helped each other out.
Yeah, because whenever Brandon would run into a situation like that, I'm like, no, Brandon, this is how you change it. You just move this here and this and that. And Brandon's like, oh yeah, that was actually pretty easy, Garrett. But Brandon would say, I never would have done that if you weren't here to tell me that.
Yeah, because actually, it's actually gotten to such a short talk that basically, when it's come to, and I have said it, I mean, like several times after writing our show, where I'm like, we're both like, I want this certain thing to go down this way. Mm-hmm. But we're at a writer's block or at a stump. Now, sometimes writer's block we definitely solve together. But some things, I'm just like, this is fucking pissing me off, Garrett. I can't see a way. I don't know how we can get this with this material. I can't see it. Then sometimes, maybe most of the times, Garrett usually can come up with something, and he usually says one, maybe if it's really hard scene, 2 ideas, and then I'm usually like, oh yeah, that does it. And then that's it. Before I used to say more often, I used to say, I never thought about that. But now it's become so second nature to us, I'm just like, oh yeah, that works.
Yeah. The time and the lag in between for each other to catch up with each other's methods has shortened.
Yes, significantly. We work great together. Really really.
And we always had worked wonderfully together.
Oh yes, we have. We just got stronger. That's it. I'm saying we started out great and got better.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it like that. It's what happened, because Garrett and I, with the first screenplay we ever wrote together, oh no, Garrett and I were so in sync. Oh no, we knew exactly. When Garrett and I said we want to do a funny scene like this, or a dramatic scene like this, or a violent scene like this, we weren't thinking of different things. We were like in sync.
That's a whole nother story about our first screenplay.
That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother beast.
But yeah, so this started, of course, just
it was fun. Let me put it this way, folks. The very first script we had ever written to this day was the most fun time we have ever had. After that, it got worse.
Yeah, that's we're gonna save that for another video if we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll tell you a little preview of that. But yeah, we told you a little preview of that. But let me see here. Yeah, so now that was what's interesting about cutting the segment and leading to that and all those methods. Yes, but for me personally, I'd say for me, the word I use for myself for today, it was a very rewarding work day for me. I'd say for myself that we got a couple segments done and we managed to cut a segment without sacrificing anything. And to say in short, the reason why we cut the segment is because we felt our previous segments touched on the exact same subject, and in this time, in this episode, we didn't feel like doubling up. Because, sometimes, as we said in previous videos, our show is big. So we got like a big universe, big cast, cool shit like that, okay? For realism, sometimes you want to double up on maybe the same conversation, maybe the same philosophy, but said a little differently from a different character. Because that's a good bit of realism. A lot of people talk about the same stuff around the world.
Yeah, or sometimes exactly the same thing.
Or sometimes, exactly. This time, Garrett were like, nope, don't need this double up, so we cut it. It was great. Yeah. It worked.
And it was too close together, I think, too. And the themes were way too similar, too close. Well, you know what? That can work. This time,
it didn't work.
This time, it didn't.
It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right to do it this way.
And we didn't see it before when we were writing in the bullet points because the bullet points were a little hollow. Once the bullet points...
they are. They're not little, Garrett. They are hollow. That's why they're bullet points. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, and once the bullet points are more filled out, we got a better grasp of what came before the scene that we chose to cut. And so by the time we got there, we're like, oh, we don't need this anymore.
And of course, with bullet points, we have the generalness. But even when we make the bullet points, we really start to map out more details when we segment it. We actually add more things compared to the bullet points, even what they just say in the bare base form.
Well, was that the point I was getting at?
No, yeah. I'm just saying. I'm just doubling up on that. That basically, we didn't plan it, so it worked out.
Yeah. Which is good.
No, yeah. That's why I got my flexibility from Garrett, and I say it in a fun way, where, I love everything I create, but everything I create doesn't need to go in there, especially when something better comes along. Because that's the nature of creating. That shit will happen.
Yeah. You'll find any real creator would know what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're just stumped. Sometimes you go through with ideas that you kind of doubt.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to just trust that it works because you got to get something done. And there are the times where, no, it doesn't work. It can go.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the biggest drawback of all, what always holds back any great creator, anyone who really works hard at something they love, is just self-doubt.
Oh, definitely. That's the killer.
That's held us back.
That's the killer right there.
And I've seen that's the biggest thing that holds everyone else back. And when I say self-doubt, worrying about what... This is turning into a long video about other stuff. I'll say this real briefly and real right to the point and say it for the video. Is worrying about what others will appreciate in this work. Worrying about the audience is really a problem. Now, I have read, and there are other people that I've known, where they say, okay, then just make the work just for yourself and whatnot. But even they sound reluctant to say that, and you should never feel reluctant to make something just for yourself because it just feels right and you like it and you want to see your vision as yourself. There should never be ever a reluctance for that. I am grateful that I've never had that mindset. I never chose to have that mindset, but I've had instances where I definitely was curious why someone would have such a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon's not curious at all. Brandon's like, that's stupid for me. That's just stupid. I'm not doing it. And I love that.
Oh, no, actually, by those words Garrett said, that's like exactly what I would say.
Yeah, and I love that attitude of his because it is stupid. But there's always a part of me that's fascinated by the stupid because I'm curious what runs not always stupid, but an insecure, a moronic mindset, a narcissistic mindset, a ridiculously over-the-top lying mindset. I'm curious as to these facets of that people utilize to write or justify as something acceptable. I'm curious. Brandon's not curious. If it's stupid to Brandon, he's not interested. And I love that. There's never been something that's too stupid for me to not be interested in. And again, that's probably the same thing with the two of us and how we write. I explore a lot. Brandon's like, no, I know what I like. We're sticking with this. I'm sticking with this.
Yeah, basically the positive version is exactly what you just said. I'm not even going to add anything to that.
Yeah. But see, I like Brandon's method a whole lot more than mine because I could have saved myself a lot of fucking headaches because a part of me always knew it was kind of moronic to explore these certain subjects or even a person's perspective on a subject which they thought worked for them. But it turned out they were just a racist. Or sexist.
All those take your prejudice pick.
Yeah. It turns out that's all it was when I deep dove, asked the questions, looked at the creator, and it just turned out it was just that.
Yeah, it's very anticlimactic.
99.9% of the time, it was just that.
It was a prejudice.
And that one time I found where the person just genuinely was insecure because of a serious issue they were dealing with and trying to overcome. Well, it didn't help my craft a whole lot more, but I'm happy for the person.
Yeah.
That was a nice story to listen to, but it didn't help me anything, which is why I was looking in. I was trying to look into it to see if it can benefit me as a creator or elevate my creator status. That's actually why I was going in there for. I wasn't doing it to listen to somebody's story to help them along spiritually. I'll do that if you're my friend. I'll do that if I'm talking about anything but writing. I'm looking at researching writing to help my writing. That didn't help my writing. I just learned about you, which was kind of cool, but it has nothing to do with me because we have nothing in common. What we have in common are struggles, but our struggles are so different that it's not the same. It's like if someone struggles running and another person struggles lifting weights. We both have a struggle, but there are very different means on how to increase those muscles. And since I'm an arms guy versus you being a legs guy, what I learned about your legs doesn't help my arms a lick.
Yep.
So
yeah. And this is the conversation about insecurity, about the idea of self-doubt is what really all the greatest creators suffer from. People just suffer from that shit.
Yes. So the kindest version, what I see is that it's self-doubt, self-imposed, worrying too much about what others think about your writing, about your creating, and downplaying your own abilities. And honestly, downplaying not your ego to the extent where you think you're better than everyone, but you should think that this work that I am making, no one in the world can make it. I'm making it the best. Anyone else tries to make this version with these characters, they suck at it. They will not be able to do my work justice ever in a million, billion, trillion, quadrillion. Count the numbers years. I'm the best at this. That I believe all creators should aspire to because it's the truth. Since there is only one you, there's only one true version of your work that you can make. And if you are thinking someone else can do your work better than you, giving them too much credit on that, then you're not being your true fullest self in creating it. So elevate that truth of knowing you're the best and making your best, and lower the idea of others may know things and can teach you things that you don't really know. But if you get that inkling that there's no point in exploring that, trust that. Because a lot of the time, it doesn't really work out. A lot of the time, learning from other people, especially when they're clouded, or like I said, end up being a prejudiced asshole, you just walk away with a bad experience and a bad taste in your mouth. So, and I've experienced plenty of being on both sides and all that stuff, and just because of the plain nature of who I am, of just exploring shit.
Before we clock the video out, just to add a little more on this, because you talked about a second ago.
Yeah.
I just want to say this. The thing that I really have a big thing with is I really don't like it when... Like I said, Garrett's told me that people say, oh, you should make these things for yourself. But Garrett said just a few minutes ago that when people say that, they feel reluctant. That I don't like that. I think it's terrible, the idea I'm making this video game. Or I'm making this novel.
Or filming this minutes after.
That for some reason, I always have to keep somewhere tucked in the deepest part in the back of my mind, yeah, but still, this has to be for someone else, right? I don't like that. That's horrible. It means basically... there always has to be a bit of self-sacrifice for some motherfucker I don't even care about. To some asshole I don't know. Fuck that person. They don't mean shit. You should only make something that's near and dear to your heart, and if the whole world hates it, then the whole world's fucked up. If you make it with absolute joy, the correct kind of struggles, the correct kind of selflessness, the love, and if the whole world hates it, fuck that world.
Yeah, no, Brand's right. Then
the reason I'm bringing that up, that's a big thing with me. I really love the idea of someone just making something and they just love it and they don't care about what the audience thinks. That's a big thing for me personally. That's why I just want to bring that up.
No, I think that's brilliant. That's a brilliant thing to wrap this up with, I'd say. Yes, the world is fucked up. If somebody made something with all their heart and actually loved it and cared about it and the whole world hates it, there's something wrong with the world, not the one who made it.
No, the world's fucked.
Mm-hmm. That's not a case of, oh, you messed up because obviously the whole world hates it. No, that's just a case of a bunch of messed up motherfuckers in the world.
Exactly.
You did nothing wrong. You loved your work. It was great. If you didn't love it and the whole world hated it, then you did fuck up.
Yes, then that's on you. Then the opinions of the world, it won't even matter to you because you're going to be your own biggest, harshest critic.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So
that was a good one.
Yeah. So no, I'm personally good. You good, Garrett?
Yeah. There's a minutes after for you folks. We will see you tomorrow for the next one.
See you tomorrow.